Welcome to a rare journey inside North Korea, the world's most secretive nation. Here, ancient traditions collide with a modern reality shaped by forces hidden from the outside world. Today, we'll uncover 10 shocking truths about daily life in this enigmatic country. Our goal, to foster awareness and appreciation for freedoms many take for granted. This is not judgment, but education, a window into a world few will ever see firsthand. Let's step quietly across the threshold and witness the realities of life inside North Korea. In North Korea, the state is not a distant authority. It's an ever-present force woven into the very fabric of daily existence. From the moment citizens wake up to the time they return to their homes at night, the presence of the government is felt in every corner of life. The state shapes every aspect of life, dictating not only the big decisions, but also the smallest details. Morning routines begin with state-sanctioned exercises, and even the way people greet each other is influenced by official norms. Careers, homes, and even daily routines are assigned, not chosen. Where you work, where you live, and sometimes even whom you associate with are all determined by government decree, leaving little room for personal preference or ambition. Political study sessions and work schedules are mandatory, filling up the calendar and leaving little space for private dreams. Attendance is closely monitored and participation is expected, reinforcing loyalty to the regime. The government's reach extends into thoughts and emotions, with constant streams of state-approved information. News, entertainment, and even art are filtered through a lens of propaganda, shaping how people see the world and themselves. Spontaneity is risky. Trust is scarce. People learn to guard their words and actions, knowing that a careless comment or an unapproved idea could have serious consequences for themselves or their families. The line between public and private life is blurred, as the state is present everywhere: home, work, and community. Even in the privacy of one's own apartment, portraits of the nation's leaders watch over daily life, a constant reminder of who is truly in charge. Citizens exist first as components of the state, not as individuals. Collective identity is emphasized above all, and personal desires are expected to yield to the needs of the nation. This absolute control is the foundation of North Korean society. Public displays of loyalty and unity are not just encouraged, they are required, reinforcing the power of the regime. Here, predictability comes at the cost of personal freedom. Life is orderly and controlled, but the price is a society where individuality is suppressed, and the unseen hand of the state is always present, guiding every step. In North Korea, movement is not just discouraged, it is meticulously controlled at every level of society. The borders are some of the most heavily fortified in the world, with soldiers constantly on patrol and barbed wire stretching for miles. But these barriers are not just physical. They are psychological, shaping the daily lives and dreams of every citizen. Attempting to leave the country without explicit government permission is considered an act of treason, punishable by severe consequences. Even traveling from one city to another is a privilege, not a right, and requires layers of state approval. At every checkpoint, guards scrutinize documents, and the fear of being caught without proper authorization is ever present. Internal passports, known as hojeok, bind people to their assigned homes and workplaces. These documents dictate where a person can live, work, and even whom they can visit. For most, the place of birth becomes the boundary of their world, rarely crossed. Pyongyang, the capital city, stands as a symbol of privilege and power. Reserved for the political elite and those deemed loyal, it is a world apart from the rest of the country. Most North Koreans will never set foot in its streets, only hearing stories of its wide boulevards and modern buildings. This enforced isolation does more than limit physical movement. It stifles opportunity, fragments families who may live only miles apart, and prevents the free exchange of ideas and experiences. Generations grow up separated, unable to visit loved ones or pursue dreams beyond their assigned borders. Entire communities remain cut off from one another, reinforcing the state's narrative and maintaining strict control. The sense of separation is palpable, with guarded gates and watchful eyes, ensuring that no one steps out of line. By restricting movement, The regime keeps its people divided, isolated, and far easier to monitor. Surveillance is constant, and the knowledge that every step is watched discourages dissent and fosters mistrust among neighbors. North Koreans live within invisible cages, their horizons set not by their own ambitions, but by the will of the state. The sense of confinement is ever present, shaping hopes and limiting futures. For many, the simple freedom to roam, to explore, or to reunite with family is a distant, almost unimaginable dream, one that remains just out of reach, beyond the invisible walls that define their lives. North Korea's media is a closed loop. Only the state's voice is heard. All news, TV, and radio are government-controlled, glorifying the leadership and vilifying enemies. Foreign media is banned. Being caught with it can mean prison. Most citizens know only the state's version of reality, repeated endlessly. This echo chamber shapes worldviews and ensures loyalty. The outside world is a mystery replaced by propaganda. Information is not just controlled, it's weaponized. Despite fertile land, hunger is a daily struggle for many North Koreans. The state's ration system often fails, with food distribution based on loyalty and location. To survive, people turn to illegal markets, jangmadang, trading goods and food outside state control. Malnutrition is widespread, especially among children and the elderly. Food is more than sustenance, it's a measure of power and survival. The daily quest for food overshadows all else. These markets are a quiet rebellion, tolerated but never safe. Hunger is a defining reality, starkly at odds with official propaganda. The internet, a global lifeline, is off-limits to nearly all North Koreans. Instead, a closed intranet, Kwangmyong, offers only censored, state-approved content. Home computers are rare, access is limited to select institutions. The idea of browsing freely or connecting globally is unimaginable for most. This digital blackout preserves the regime's monopoly on truth. Only a tiny elite glimpse the outside world under strict surveillance. For everyone else, the world ends at the digital border. North Koreans are isolated from the defining technology of our age. Military service is nearly universal in North Korea, shaping the lives of almost every citizen. Young men serve up to a decade, women several years. Life in the military is harsh, marked by indoctrination, labor, and food shortages. Soldiers build infrastructure, farm, and serve as a labor force. The army is both a tool of defense and a powerful engine of loyalty. Years in uniform delay personal ambitions and relationships. The military-first mindset permeates society, keeping the nation on a constant war footing. Surveillance is everywhere in North Korea. Neighbors watch neighbors, and trust is rare. The Inminbon system ensures every family is monitored for ideological purity. A careless word or joke can lead to interrogation or worse. Even at home, people guard their speech. This constant vigilance enforces conformity and participation in state rituals. Organized opposition is nearly impossible. Isolation is the norm. The population becomes its own enforcer, policing itself out of fear. The walls truly have ears. In North Korea, foreign influence is not just discouraged, it is actively portrayed as a dangerous threat to the nation's stability and unity. The government's messaging is clear. Anything from the outside world, whether it's ideas, culture, or even simple contact, is seen as a potential contagion that could undermine the regime's control. Propaganda posters and state media broadcasts constantly warn citizens about the dangers of foreign influence, painting outsiders as agents of chaos and corruption. As a result, contact with outsiders is tightly controlled at every level. Border guards are vigilant, monitoring every interaction and movement at checkpoints. The presence of foreign visitors is treated with suspicion, and every effort is made to limit their exposure to the local population. Tourists who do enter the country are only allowed to see a carefully curated version of North Korea. They are always accompanied by government-approved guides who ensure that visitors stick to approved routes and only witness what the regime wants them to see. Every photograph, every conversation is closely monitored. For ordinary North Koreans, unauthorized interaction with foreigners is not just discouraged, it is dangerous. Locals know that even a brief conversation or a glance in the wrong direction can lead to suspicion, interrogation, or even punishment by authorities. To further prevent ideological contamination, the regime bans foreign films, music, and books. Any attempt to smuggle in outside media is met with harsh penalties. Propaganda murals and public warnings reinforce the message that foreign culture is toxic and must be kept out at all costs. The outside world is consistently depicted as hostile, decadent, and corrupt. State television and news anchors deliver anti-Western messages, reinforcing the idea that isolation is necessary for survival and purity. In schools and public spaces, exposure to new ideas is considered a direct threat to the regime's authority. Officials regularly inspect books and media for any sign of foreign influence, ensuring that only approved information is accessible. This enforced separation between locals and foreigners deepens the sense of otherness. Tourists are kept at a distance, often separated by physical barriers, and can only observe daily life from afar, never truly connecting with the people. Ultimately, the regime works tirelessly to seal its people off from even the idea of a different life. Barbed wire, warning signs, and the absence of foreign advertisements serve as constant reminders that the outside world is off limits, and that any curiosity about life beyond the borders is both dangerous and forbidden. Indoctrination in North Korea begins at birth and never ends. Children are taught to revere the leaders through songs, stories, and school lessons. Public spaces are filled with statues, slogans, and propaganda. The Juche ideology and Kim family cult are central to identity. Decades of conditioning blur the line between belief and performance. Propaganda becomes part of daily life and self-image. Minds are as captive as bodies. Dissent is met with brutal consequences: political prison camps, forced labor, and public executions. The three generations rule punishes entire families for one person's crime. Even minor offenses like possessing foreign media can mean years in a labor camp. Fear of punishment silences criticism and enforces obedience. The threat of unimaginable suffering keeps rebellion at bay. This climate of fear underpins the regime's power. Conformity is survival. The price of defiance is unbearably high. Our glimpse into North Korea ends here, a world defined by control, isolation, and resilience. Reflect on the freedoms you enjoy. They are not universal. If this journey moved you, subscribe to support more stories like this. Your support helps us shine a light on hidden corners of our world. Thank you for joining this important exploration. Together, we can foster empathy and understanding, one story at a time.